are the biggest hurdles you've had to overcome? What have been the biggest obstacles so far?
I think for me, definitely, while I sound like glass half full girl, self-sabotage is really easy. You can cry yourself under your covers and just really think that, what am I doing? Especially when you are doing it alone. And so that, again, back to Kylie's thing, that camaraderie of seeing and meeting Kylie and seeing what she's doing, and I'm like, oh, thank God, there's not somebody else, there is somebody else doing it all on her own and really succeeding. And we inspire each other, and we end up giving each other that energy. Because often, I'll get a contact, I'll be here, and I will meet some investor who's like, oh, you're doing a series on the jungle? I love Upton Sinclair. Here's my card, follow up. And sometimes I'll go home and I'll actually find out who that was and go, oh gosh, I didn't know who I was speaking to, and now I'm slightly embarrassed, and do I want to call them, and how can I call them? And they gave me their card, and they said, call me. And it's like, duh, call them. And so sometimes I have to talk myself off the cliff. And again, having your tribe, my husband is a really supportive guy. We've been together for 13 years. We got married really young. And yeah, we talk each other off that cliff all the time. So I think self-sabotage is just definitely something.
For me, I think I'm very much in my head, and sometimes I'm just thinking, and it just spins out of control, and I fall over. Maybe that's because I had 15 pints, but but I think for me, yeah, that's it's just overthinking things and not being in the moment. And I think there really is something to be said for mindfulness, meditation, just being aware of, okay, just having pride and humility at the same time. Like, okay, this is my desk, and this is the list of things that I have to do today, and all the nonsense that's going around outside, of my office, or even of that tiny space, I can't do anything about it. So I'm just going to leave it to one side. And I find I have a lot more energy since I've been studying Buddhism for quite a while now. But I would really recommend that to a young person as well, is start meditating, start studying the esoteric side of things as well, because it's so connected to everything, I think. And I think that's a thing about women, is that we kind of put all of our different levels into the projects that we work on. We're not as single-minded as men, and I think it takes a lot more out of us, and I think we need to look after ourselves better and be kinder to ourselves than we are.
Yeah.
No, I'd second all those, because it's about taking time for yourself. I think we get caught up in taking care of a lot of other people sometimes, and so then we also need to take care of ourselves, give ourselves our hour to run and jump in the ocean, or do whatever you got to do to give yourself the time so you can stay centered. And
I go looking for snakes.
You go running?
I live in the south of France. I live 3 hours away. And that's what I do.
Have you heard about women being web thinkers? The whole study, they found that, our brains do totally work differently than men. And they term it web thinkers, which I think makes us great for being multifaceted, but also that is the problem too, because we get lost in the web. We start going down that maze, and guys are just, so yeah.
Another thing I'd say is don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Everything takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. If you choose to invest your time, energy, passion, drive into something, know that the results will come, but you just need to give yourself time.
Yeah.
We can be our worst critics, as again with self-sabotage. The mindfulness helps kind of get that out of your brain, but you can totally do it. Hundreds, thousands of people have created films before you. There's no reason why you can't do the same.
Right.
I think sometimes it can get hard with time, because it's very easy at the start of a project when you first have that concept and you share it with someone else, or you tell your friends, and it's wonderful. But what about in between coming up with a concept and actually celebrating when it's out there in the world? It feels like forever, and you don't hear back from people for months, and then they say, oh, we're still interested, this is our offer. But you can just sit there and think, no, it means that I've failed, but you haven't. You've just got to be patient. And I think while you're waiting, just keep working, because it's so beneficial. I mean, I guess personally for me, because I'm on such a learning curve, and so if I'm out there shooting and editing every day, your work is only getting better. So by the time they get back to you, you'll say, look at my show reel now, like it's and it's also because then it gets you back in touch with why you're doing it, because you love telling stories. And I mean, if you look at like what Casey Neistat's doing, like daily vlogging, and people saying to him, oh, that's not real filmmaking, but you know what, he's producing something every single day.
And it's beautiful.
Yes, no? And I think that if you're just going to sit around and wait for the right time, the right contact, the right budget, that person who's going to make your dream come true, like a filmmaking fairy godmother, I think you could waste your whole life not being creative and just waiting by your inbox refreshing,